Travis is in the room. Travis, are you there?
There you go.
There we go. Where are you calling in from today, Travis?
Oh, here at home on my family ranch in South Texas, about
Very cool.
about an hour west of San Antonio.
Very good. Well, we're grateful that you're able to be here with us. Travis is doing a lot of the things that we teach, and he's doing it at scale and doing it successfully. We're grateful that you're able to jump in and join us. So we'll let you run with it.
Thank you. So, when Jared asked me, which thank you, Jared, for asking me to join the summit. It's an honor to be here today with everyone. And when Jared asked me, I thought, well, what will bring value to people from the knowledge that I've gained over the years of ranching and being in business. And the thing that I often think of is my strong point has been the pairing of the two together. I grew up on a family ranch here in Texas. It's been in my family since 1846. The picture there is my great grandfather when he was about 17 years old. That picture was probably from about 1910, here just in front of the ranch house where I still have my office. And I, I grew up basically like most of the people probably on this call here, a cowboy, chasing cows around South Texas here. Not the tame ones, but the Santa Gertrudis and the Brahmas, and playing cowboy, and quickly learned that that was going to be a hard way to make a living. And so I went to Texas A&M University, studied wildlife fisheries sciences and conservation biology, and thought that was going to be my path in life. The recession hit, and I was actually sitting on horseback. I was training a young colt for a guy when I got a call for a job that I had applied to with the laboratory that was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And about a month later, I was in India working in the northern province of Bihar, and worked over there for a number of years. Was fortunate enough to travel to about 13 different countries. I was a project manager slash field director for projects in leishmaniasis. That's a microscopic protozoan that transfers from cows to people. So we were coming up with unique ways of controlling the parasite. And I kind of got a little fed up with living in the developing nations and really feeling like I wasn't doing a whole lot of good at the time. And so I had been reading a lot of books in alternative agriculture at that time. Now stuff that we call regenerative, and came back to my family ranch and built a business and built it up to about $1 million revenue $1 million revenue business is a direct marketing business. We did beef, chicken, eggs, the whole nine yards. And along the way, I've been doing some consulting, and I went to work in private equity, CEOing one of the companies, and then ended up helping them manage the portfolio in San Antonio called Soilworks Natural Capital. And I did that for a number of years until recently, where I went to work for one of the companies that we made a minority investment in, called Highland Beef out of Australia. And we have cattle in Australia and in the United States, serving some big brands here in the US. So in that time, um, I went from that cowboy mentality, for lack of better words, to a true business mentality. During all those years, I did also attend, like many of you here, ranching for profit schools, understanding ag. I started off in HMI, so tipping my hat to Savory's dad. Um, and I've learned throughout the years that there are some core um, pieces of advice that I would give anyone, specifically in the agriculture space. There's some to think about, but when you're building when you're building a farm or ranch, a business, it is so much more than just filing your formation documents, looking at revenue expenses, hiring employees, raising livestock, um, analyzing the P&L. These to me are timeless principles and actions that have built the greatest people and the greatest businesses that we have in this country. And it's advice that's actionable. I'll remind you that as we go through the presentation, if you take a look at the bottom of each page, I've got some book resources that you can use for taking action on some of these things. So I would say the first piece of advice that I would give to anyone is fixing yourself first. And what I mean by that is that if we don't fix ourselves first and take care of ourselves, so to speak, how do we expect to take care of our family, our ranch, our business? It's so easy to go down a path of bad habits, bad things, alcoholism, hanging out with the wrong people, scaring away good employees, losing the ranch, pretty much anything negative you can think of. That's the easy path, in my opinion. I've been down many of those paths personally, and it's been a struggle most of my life to get out of them. But I work hard every day at getting better. But I see so many of those things prevalent in our ranching community. Folks, it's really difficult to fix yourself. Many of us have trauma or other experiences that created the difficulties we face in our personal lives. For me, it was a parent, a father that was a pretty violent, abusive person, an alcoholic, and likely caused from generational trauma. And facing those demons has challenged me my entire life. Um, Starting off, something that served me well is Stoic values. These are a set of principles that guide you to live a life of integrity and purpose. They give you the tools for personal resilience and positivity. Understanding that, look, we cannot and don't control external events. We only control our own thoughts, opinions, decisions, and duties. But knowing that we've all been given the resources that we need to thrive. We need to eliminate toxic emotions, and you cannot complain or blame anyone else. It's best to deal with our own demons. And no person is an island. I've heard that many times today. So that is also a value that has been thought of for thousands of years in humanity. And folks, it's all about progress, not perfection. So I would say Stoicism says persist and resist. I would say the words that they really should have used were persistence and resilience. Morning routine has been valuable to me. I start off every day with a nice run, getting exercise in. I read, journal, write every day. These are Stoic habits that people have used for thousands of years as well. Get rid of the bad habits that I've mentioned. Part of that is eating good food. Those of us in the regenerative agriculture space know a little bit about. Stop cheating on yourself when you eat crappy food. And then personal growth. I think personal growth is a true mindset. You train to win, quite frankly. There are people who are so good that they train to even dominate. And I'm talking about personally and then in our business lives as well. So, each day I really do try to wake up and say, are we going to be a winner or a loser? It's really easy to make excuses. It's super easy to wake up on a cold morning and just put yourself right back to sleep and stay under those warm sheets. So look, attitude is something that anyone can have. It doesn't really require talent. The goal is to do better, to make ourselves better, to make the decisions, stop being victims, and take control. One of the people who have been a huge influence to me is David Goggins' work. He's written some really great books, and he's so good at turning the demons into positive energy. And he takes it so personally that he actually records audio of his personal demons and his haters that talk to him on the internet. and he uses it to fuel them and turn that negative energy into positive energy. And once you do that, it sort of becomes life changing. And so just remember that it will be a constant battle. So learning how to turn those demons into something positive can be a superpower. All right, moving on. Creating value. You know, we often think that in the ranching business that we have this independent mindset, this severe independent mindset that really it gets in our way so much that we don't even realize that we're serving people and serving a customer. I've seen that my entire life. I continue to see it. And I think we have to learn to create value. First step in that is finding a purpose. Who are you serving? What do you like to do? We all have a customer, product, or a service. What does that customer want? Consumer mindset, shifting to a product that's nutritious and is produced in a way that's ecologically sound. That's what regenerative agriculture is all about. That's why we're here today. My examples are, are we raising livestock or are we stewarding the land? Is it a combination of both? So how are we going to bring value to our customer, to ourselves, to our family, to our ranch? Defining what success means to you. Is that a financial goal, family goals, legacy? I think we need to decide that we're going to provide a great product or a great service. The reality is that it needs to be a great or a new idea. Otherwise, your chances of success are diminished. In production agriculture, we provide a product to a customer. Thus, we're in the business of providing a product or service, folks. Don't forget that. And then taking calculated risks through this value creation. I do believe that we all need to be willing to suffer or lose things if it doesn't go well. Grit and determination will push you through that. A good example is when I worked in private equity. A normal risk tolerance for private equity is really high compared to most folks. And it's due to the inherent nature of the asset class, which often involves investing in illiquid, early stage companies with a significant potential for large losses alongside the possibility of high returns. So that means investors have to be comfortable with the potential for substantial volatility and the possibility of losing that entire investment. And the reason I bring that up is because a recent study in 2023 by Cambridge Associates, it showed that private equity over the past 25 years delivered an average annual return of 13.1% versus the S&P at 8.6. It's a good example of how taking that additional risk can improve your likelihood of success. Grit and hard work. I don't really need to focus too much on this one. Our time's limited today with 30 minutes. And I think the good thing is most of us that come in from agriculture, we already possess this because it's almost par for the course, right? If you don't understand what grit and hard work are, you don't last in agriculture. The picture that I put of my wife and I processing turkeys. So we had a state inspected poultry processing facility for about 12 years. And we would process 1,500 turkeys in that facility in a 3-day period to deliver them fresh for people the weekend before Thanksgiving. And we went through those 3 days, often with less than 4 hours of sleep. By the time it was over, your hands were shaking with the knife, trying to gut the poultry, and it was brutal. But turkeys ended up being our highest gross margin product that we raised. We sold an average turkey for about $125 a piece. And so it was pretty good for us. I also want to mention that passion does have value. I know a lot of people will disagree with this statement. In fact, some people will inherently turn their face to it. that purpose is the only thing that matters. And it keeps you going when you want to give up. So passion to me equals love. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. It's as simple as that. Work hard. You're going to have to be frugal and lean. I've learned in business that you do not waste your time or resources on things that don't matter. That's not to say that you're not going to take risks, but they need to be calculated risks on the thing that you do take. Especially in startup and growth phases of the business, it's so critical to be frugal and lean. Don't spend the money unless you have to. Do it yourself if it can be done. Just be strategic about it. Focus is another big one. I started off trying to do everything the Soliton style, and it was a serious struggle. I think many of us would be better off focusing on one or two enterprises, especially for beginning farmers and ranchers out there, and get really good at them and get so good that you'll beat everybody else. Focus on your goals, get rid of the noise. That's another one. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so we talked about focus, but we got to focus on what matters. And saying that, often in business, we say focus on what matters. I've seen people get so focused that I would say the divorce rate and the family problems that I see in especially high performance businesses is huge. The rates of it are massive. So don't forget about yourself, your family, while you're focusing on what matters, because that also matters. Wishful thinking gets you nowhere. I have a recent story of trying to fundraise $105 million for our company. Well, we let our guard down because we thought that the people we were working with, we didn't do what we should have done. We didn't focus, and it was a bad deal. We're back on track. We ended up fundraising some money, but not quite enough. And the earlier one just quite frankly didn't work out. And never celebrate until the deal's closed or money's in the bank, y'all. Once again, wishful thinking gets you nowhere. Be strategic about it. And with that being said, something that you'll use in strategic thinking that's helped me greatly in my business life is first principles thinking. You can look up first principles thinking. There's a ton of information about it online, but the opposite of first principles thinking, the analogous to that thinking is the norm, is the way we've always done it because this is the way we've always done it because. And how many times have we heard that in the ranching business? So first principles is opposite of that. You're building knowledge from experience and then using that to gain a true understanding of how something works. You're understanding the fundamentals, which allows you to think deeper. So that more unconventional thinking. So then you can optimize, you can integrate new things. And then the final benefit of the first principles thinking is you're so good at it that you can disseminate it, right? Just like Jared's doing here today, right? So he's probably done first principles thinking without realizing that that's what it was. And this goes all the way back to Aristotle, talked about first principles thinking thousands of years ago. So I put a little, diagram on the left-hand side there, and that's essentially how you create hierarchies with first principles thinking and do an analysis flow. Well, part of building that strategy and what I've done, so creating that focus on the business, is using something called a playbook. And I just wanted to throw this up there real quick. This is an example of one that I built and used for a business that I ran called Grazing Lands. It was a large livestock management company. We had about 1,000 head on one property. And it's just an example of how you go through a playbook process. Look, the thing about strategy is it needs to be something that's easy and straightforward. And we get to, I often see people build these huge business plans that are 50 pages long. Our chairman at Highland Beef did one recently. It's like 54 pages long. And I'm like, throw that thing in the trash can. That is totally worthless to everybody in the company. Because who is going to actually sit there and read a 54-page document? The reality is nobody will. So I'm going to go back just a second. Strategy, then execute. Look, it is important that as we decide what to focus on, that we develop a strategy around it. These are a set of choices that are going to position yourself on a playing field and position yourself to win. And there's a ton of good information about that out there. The playbook is one of my favorite ways of creating a strategy and then executing it. And then the last piece of advice I have for everyone today is attracting great people. We've heard it said several times on here. Nicole Masters mentioned it. Jared's mentioned it several times in the past 2 days. But you become who you hang out with. I mean, folks, this is relatively common knowledge, but I can't tell you how often I don't see people putting this into practice. Look, it means that you need to put yourself around good, successful people. That's what we mean by that. Their thinking is literally going into your mind. The people you hang out with and associate with is who you will become. Get rid of the noise. I had a really good piece of advice given to me one time. And the guy said, take a look at 5 people you're with most often. Ask yourself, if I have children, would I want them to grow up and be like those 5 people? If the answer is no, you seriously better be making changes. If the answer is yes, hey, you're already headed in the right direction. And there's no single definitive statistic for this data, right? There is none. But there's been some research done at Harvard University recently that suggests that the people you regularly associate with can determine as much as 95% of your success or failure in life, effectively supporting the idea that you are who you hang out with. People build businesses and companies. You cannot do it alone. Remember, do not be an island. If it's just you, then you're self-employed and you have not built a business, folks. In order to build a team, you're going to have to attract great people to succeed, and you're going to need help to build that great business with those people. Setting expectations with those team members is going to be critical. And ranching for profit, some of the schools, they teach you about position agreements versus job description, effectiveness areas, and within each effectiveness area, how you create accountability, how you create a plan, how you set measurable targets for team members, and determine the measurement how and when. The better they understand, the better your team understands where they're needed and what is expected, it will increase your likelihood and their likelihood of success. Use organization charts. You don't want people stepping on each other's toes. So you're going to share your business playbook that I talked about with your team. And I just want all of you to remember that you need to put people first. It's what builds great companies. So with that being said, I think I have 3 minutes left. I really appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to my talk today. I hope you take away what I've talked about, put it into action in your own life, and strive to get better every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Rush and Vanessa, amen. Agreed. Such great principles, Travis. We appreciate that you're willing to share them with us. And with your background, you see that they're not only applicable in ranch business, but all business. So I would ask, what do you see as maybe the biggest weakness that we have in ranching, the thing that's trips us up the most?
The first thing that pops into my mind is, the lack of first principles thinking, right? That we just chatted about it. We do it because it's the way we've always done it. But honestly, I don't think that's the biggest problem. The biggest problem that I see in my community and around me here in South Texas is working on ourselves. I mean, in the ranching community around me, alcoholism and lots of things are rampant. And there's a lot of self work that needs to be done on people. And I don't think it's just a problem here. I mean, I have a guy that was working for me about 12 years ago. Um, I sent him to an operation in Wyoming, a person who's well known in the stockmanship circles and has 10,000 head of stockers every year on wheat. And I thought this person was a good person. He's well respected within the community, and he ended up being just an absolute disaster. I mean, it was a personal issue with the leadership. There wasn't a single person working at this ranch that had been there for more than 8 months when my guy got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and
Yep.
so I think working on ourselves is of the utmost importance. And that's all the different things, including spirituality, that you've been talking about as well. So I think if we get that right, we can get a lot of other things right, Jared.
No, that's great. I appreciate that. That is just a second witness. As we bring Josh Adams up next. Josh, if you want to go ahead and unmute, we'll get you brought up to the front. But you know, thank you for saying that, because I believe that all the principles in the world, we can do those things right, but if we're not right with ourselves, man,
Or-
it's just going to crumble at some point. Like
That's right.
we've got to learn to be anti-fragile and get ourselves in order. So it's not a fun and sexy and interesting hot topic to talk about, right? But thank you for calling it like it is. Like alcoholism, addiction, suicide rate amongst farmers and ranchers, those things are real. Divorce rates. Why? Because we're stressed. Why are we stressed? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's address that cause, because, and I've been there with some of our clients where we've said, you know what? And I have been one of those clients where depression was the issue. And we had to say, hey, your business. It can go away, Jared. Let's fix you. And I'm glad that I had a team around me that called me out. So, Travis, thank you so much. Everybody took some
Thank
great
you,
notes.
Jared.
Let's send some love to Travis in the chat. And so his consultation, hour-long consultation, basically, I think that just links to your email. Is that where that goes? And
Yep. Yep. Shoot me an email
context.
and set that up, and happy to help you with whatever you need help with on farming, ranching, business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Travis has sat at our dining room table. He's coming. He's the real deal. This is not just theory for him. Like he practices what he preaches, and this is really awesome. So cool. Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you being here with us.